Greetings, viewers and learners. I take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you to Indira National Open University. My name is Zuchamo Yantan from School of Social Sciences, Indira National Open University. Well, today the topic for discussion is titled as Nagaland, Understanding the Naga Tribes. This is a very, very important topic because when we are talking about the tribes in India, Nagaland, becomes a very important, a very significant state because almost all the inhabitants of the state of Nagaland are tribals. And well, more than that, many people look at Nagaland as a very homogeneous state, homogeneous people, but then Nagaland is divided into so many tribes. There are about 16 tribes in Nagaland, all are having different customs and tradition. So today, one of the main objectives of today's discussion will be to understand the Naga tribes, especially the Nagas from Nagaland. Well, the learning objectives for today's discussions are understand the different tribes in Nagaland. As I have just mentioned, many people look at Nagaland as a very homogeneous state, but Nagaland comprises of 16 tribes. So we'll try to venture out today. And secondly, the Naga village and their administration. Nagaland, the Nagas, for Nagas, the village is very important because the village is a small republic without any kind of dominance from anywhere. They will control their village, So we will try to understand a little deeper on that. And thirdly, we'll try to understand the customs and traditions and beliefs of the Nagas, the Naga society. And fourthly, we'll try to have a deeper understanding on the Naga traditional institution called the Morong, which is a very, very important before the advent of the modern learning. Nagas also used to have their own learning institution, and it is called the Morong. And then we will also try to understand much deeper on the headhunting tradition of the Nagas. Many people have a very misunderstanding about the Nagas as just headhunters. But there are many deeper things, why the Nagas used to practice headhunting. So in this discussion, we will try to have a much deeper understanding on that. And then we will also try to understand the festival of the Nagas. Nagaland is popularly known as a land of festivals. So, every tribes, are having, their own festivals and which, are not, basically do not have a similarities, it doesn't occur, at the same time, but every month there is a festival from one tribe or the other tribe. That is also the reason why Nagaland is popularly known as a land of festivals. So we will also try to have a deeper understanding on the different, festivals in Nagaland. And then, of course, a very important women empowerment. This is also a very important. Nagaland is known to be, the safest, states for women, right? In spite of the Nagas being a very male-dominant society, it is, Nagaland state is known to be the safest states for women in India. And lastly, we will try to understand about the Naga society in the contemporary, and especially about the musics and also different traditions, that has emerged in the recent times. So, well, this entire unit that is called Tribes of Nagaland, we will be covering up into many, around in 5 to 6 video recordings. So today, these are the learning objectives for the entire unit. So today we are going specifically to going back. We will try to understand the tribes, understanding the Naga tribes. So as I have mentioned, this will be covered in 6 lectures. And well, Nagaland is a vibrant state located in the extreme part of the northeast India. And Nagaland stands out as a land of diverse tribes, system of governance, culture, sheer color and variety. It also represents sociological and anthropological gold mine because it is still scientifically unexplored. That is the reason why many anthropologists, many sociologists consider Nagaland state as a gold mine. Yeah, so we will, and then, well, as you know, the Nagaland, it is like, from this PowerPoint, you can see in the India map first, and there you can see a red mark. That is where Nagaland is located. And Nagaland is, as per 2011, the literacy rate of Nagaland is about 80%, and presently there are 11 districts in Nagaland. And the state of Nagaland, which is mostly hill territories, entire Nagaland, when you visit Nagaland, you'll see full of mountains, full of green mountains, and it is bounded by Assam in the west, Myanmar on the east, and Manipur in the south, and Arunachal Pradesh, and the part of Assam on the north. So this is where Nagaland is located. For those of you who do not have a clear understanding on where Nagaland is located, first you can look at the India map, and in that India map you will find a red mark, and that is where Nagaland is located. As I've mentioned, Assam is on the west part, and Myanmar on the east, and Manipur on the south, and Arunachal Pradesh and part of Assam on the north. So this is about the location of the state of Nagaland. Well, now the people. Let's try to have a little bit understanding on the people. The Nagas are distinct from the rest of the Indian tribes, not only in their religion, languages, and appearances, but also in their lifestyle patterns. There are so many tribes across India, but it is found that the Naga tribes are very distinct from the rest of the tribes in India. And the Nagas again belong to the Indo-Mongolian family, and they speak variety of Tibeto-Burma languages. And as I have said, each tribes are having their own dialects or the language which cannot be easily understood by the other tribe. So if you are thinking that Nagaland are having the similar languages or dialects, then please try to understand that it's very diverse. Yeah, and the Nagas are simple people. They are very friendly people. They are very industrious, straightforward, and sturdy with a high standard of integrity. And fear was never known to the Nagas. They are known to be a very warrior tribe, so they're very, very brave tribes. And they are also well known for their hospitality and cheerfulness. They are, of course, they can be very fearful, to the unknown people. But once the Naga knows you, once the Nagas are in, they come to know about you, they will be very friendly, they will be very hospitable, and they'll be, full of giving. Yeah, they're very not only hospitable, not only cheerful, but they also have a very big-hearted people. And the Nagas are one of the indigenous people living in northeast India and Myanmar. They are well known for their, rich, colorful traditions, bravery, honesty, and love for music. Of course, in the latter part of the unit discussion, we will be also talking more about how music plays a vital role in the life of the Naga, especially the folk music. What happened is that the Nagas, they did not have their own script. So most of their stories, most of their stories about their community, the tribes are being recorded, are being memorized in their folk music. So we will also have a chapter or a kind of one slot on how the music, Naga music, plays a vital role in the life of the Naga society. And the Nagas, historically, Naga homeland had no connection with either India or Myanmar. And it was a land of many tribal democracies, as I have mentioned. Each tribes or each villages are having total independence from anybody, no rule, under control of anybody. Each village used to be a small republic. And Nagas in the past lived in harmony with nature and led independent and simple lives. And headhunting was widely practiced as a way of affirming and sustaining their culture. It was a ritual to ensure good harvest and to protect the community from evil spirits. It was also a celebration of bravery and honor to warriors in warfare. So that's another one. And according to Captain J. Butler, who is from the British, his term Naga is derived from the Bengali word Nangla or the Hindustani word Nanga, meaning naked, crude, or barbarous people. Yeah, because the Nagas were used to be naked. They were, of course, as I have said, they were like very ferocious tribe, even though they are very good-hearted people. And according to Naga legend, that this term was derived from, the term means the Naga was derived from the Burmese word called Noga, meaning people with beards, earlobes. No means ear beards or to make a hole in or through, in a Kachin language. And well, if we look at the historically, it was the Burmese from the British first came to know about the Nagas during the Anglo-Burmese wars in 1795 and 1826. Well, there are many definitions about the Nagas. The Assamese, the neighboring state of the Nagas, they will call them the Nagas because they were naked. But again, the Burmese will call them the Noga, because every Nagas, the Nagas, they will have their ear pierced, So if we try to properly analyze, the name given to the Nagas, it can be, we can be more, as certain that the name must have derived from the Burmese, because it was the Burmese through which the Britishers, they came to know about the Nagas. So when the Britishers inquired about the tribes on the other side, they said they are Noga, that is the people with beards. You can see a picture here. It clearly speaks about why they were called the Nogas. People with beards, earlobes. Traditionally, it is an important step for young boys who are about to enter manhood. Well, you can see 4 pictures here. You can also see a lady, an old lady with a pierced her ear, which means to say that it is not only the women, but also the men, also they will pierce their ears. And that is common with all the Naga tribes. And well, you can see also in this picture that they are, putting something on their earlobes, and they are nothing but the horn of animals. It is just to display their bravery, to display the bravery. You can see another person on the head with, which is, actually a teeth of an animal. Yeah, right. So, well, the people, the Nagas generally in the olden days, of course, today the youngsters, they do not pierce their ears. I mean, of course, some people do that, but generally the youngsters, they do not do that. But in the olden days, all the Nagas, both male and female, they will be having a pierced ear. Yeah, so that can confirm to the definition, the naming of the Naga by the Burmese people. And well, the word Naga used here is a generic term that refers to a group of over 30 tribes inhabiting not only in Nagaland, but also some hill region of the state of Manipur, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, and parts of Myanmar. So when we talk about Nagas, it is not only confined to the Nagas from Nagaland, but, the Nagas, they also resides much beyond Nagaland state. Nagaland state came into existence only in 1963. Yeah, until then, the group of these people, the tribes are known as the Nagas. Of course, till today they are known as Nagas. They are not only inhabiting in Nagaland, but also in Manipur, a huge territory, and many tribes in Manipur are actually the Nagas. And also some section, some part of Assam is also occupied by the Nagas. And of course, the people are also called Nagas. And Arunachal Pradesh is also another state where a very good number of Nagas, the Naga people are residing, in Manipur. And of course, a lot of parts of Myanmar is also being occupied by the Naga people. Therefore, the term Naga also implies the Naga tribes inhabiting in different parts of the Northeast India and Myanmar, who are more similar to the one another, to the rest of other tribal groups in the Northeast. And the state of Nagaland, of course, as I have said, is inhabited by 16 tribes. The state of Nagaland, in the state of Nagaland, it is inhabited by 16 tribes. Of course, today we will be discussing about the main, this particular unit talks about the tribes in Nagaland. And the tribes are like the Angami tribe, the Ao tribe, Chang tribe, Chekasang tribe, Kimingan tribe, Konyak tribe, Lotha tribe, Pom tribe, Butchori tribe, Rangma tribe, Sangdam tribe, Sema tribe, Yumchungar tribe, Ziliang tribe, and Kuki and Kachari are also a tribe in Nagaland, but they are basically not, they are not known as the Nagas. Yeah, and each tribe is distinct and unique in character from the others in terms of customs, language, and attire. Yeah, we'll be talking more about that when I say attire and I said the language. Every tribes, they have their own languages, which is distinct, which is different from the rest of the other tribes, which other tribes cannot understand. And also Naga attires is very popular across the globe. Each tribes, they will be having their own attire. For example, the waistcoat that I'm wearing is a modern design of the Lotha Naga tribe. So likewise, when you go to Nagaland, you will find people wearing different colors, different colorful shawls. And people can be identified by the shawls that they use, by the attires that they use. So that's that's another very interesting part of the Nagaland state. When we talk about the Naga society, understanding the village is actually it's very, very important, because Naga society is all about village. As I have mentioned, every village in Nagaland, used to be a total, small republic, having almost everything what they require at that time, and they are totally independent, from any other, from any other villages or any other communities. So every village is a total independent, from any other, And The Naga villages were isolated from one another, and the inter-village trading, and interaction was limited, except among our friendly villages. And this was, due to the practice of inter-village rivalry, and headhunting used to be very popular. So every village, they will occupy a huge plot of land, which may be about, maybe in terms of maybe 50 kilometers, 30 kilometers, some maybe even 100 kilometers like that. And, they will not allow any other people to interfere in in all activities of their village. They will have a total control of their villages. When it comes to everything about the society, they will be in total control of their village, and no other people will be allowed to interfere in any of their activities. And every Naga tribe has its own village system, and every Naga is a member of a village. And Naga Village Republic, of course, I have mentioned, all the villages of the Naga tribes were politically and economically independent of each other. History tells us that right from time immemorial, the Nagas, irrespective of tribes, were living, independently in their own villages. And Nagas were not under any authority before the British rule, and each tribe village was a total republic. And the village, they identify themselves with their village and holds, great pride to belong to a particular village. Every Nagas, they will be having full pride in their village. They will be like, when they introduce themselves, they will tell your name, and they will also clearly mention that I belong to this particular village. Yeah. And even for those families living outside the village, they either have a home or land in a village, indicating their belongingness and roots of their family. And village thus forms the center of a Naga tribe. And there are no Nagas, who doesn't have a land. Every Naga tribe or every Naga people have a land, which are mostly of their ancestors' land, which are in villages. And that's also one reason why every Naga families who are even living outside have their homes and land in their village, and of course which indicating their belongingness and a root of their family. And most Naga villages are always on the hilltop. This is of course a modern village, but you know what? If you travel across Nagaland, you will see that all the villages in Nagaland are actually in the hilltop. And there are reasons behind why Naga, they choose to locate or build their villages in the hilltops. And well, the reason is because Naga villages, as I have said, are usually in the hilltops, which enable the inhabitants, panoramic view of their surroundings, and this alerted them of threat of attacks from enemies, protecting from enemies and raids of wars of utmost concern in the olden days. The Nagas used to be headhunters, and each villages or tribes used to have a war with one another. So locating their village in the hilltops gives them the advantage of being able to have a proper view of who are coming to their village to attack them, or even during war they will be able to counter the enemies in a much effective and a better way. That's the reason why most Nagas, in fact not most but all the Nagas, they used to locate their villages in the hilltops. And each village had elaborate defense arrangement. They will have a very elaborate arrangement of the thing. For instance, in Lota territory, under Wokha district, the nearby forests were planted with itching plants. If any invader comes in Kandek, it causes itching over the body. And the Naga villages had the morong also dormitory built near the gate as a defense. So, by planting itching plant, when enemies enter the village, they will be, they will have this sensation, of the, there is a plant which when you touch it, you started having itching. It's just like a bee has stung you. So that is how most Lotus villages, they used to plant that to counter, of course, to counter the enemies. Yeah. And the village functions as a compact and well-knit society where the tradition, customs, and disciplines were observed. And the Naga village states are like having a population, territory, and sovereign of its components. The Naga villages are, again, as I would say, independent unit and accordingly enjoy the right of sovereignty. And each village state has its own defense system. Administration was indigenous and independent. Its economy was local and self-sufficient. And in a village, customary laws were to be feared and respected. Naga customary laws were very strictly enforced. And selecting new village is again a very important, in the mode of selecting a site for establishment of a village, of course, differ from tribe to tribe. However, the common one of the common thing which is practiced across all tribes, it was the belief in dreams, or a symbol or signs which guided the people in their search of a new site. The Naga tribes regarded dreams to be very, to be a way of supernatural, elements communicating with them. They believe dreams guide them and make proper decisions relating to social, cultural, and spiritual life. And dreams provide them clear vision to make the right decision from minute matters, such as performing rituals for greater contingents, such as death or ritual, natural calamities. So, for example, like before the village, a new village is established, generally, the head of the priest or an elderly in the tribe will try to have look at the dream, what kind of dreams, what kind of signs they have they have gathered, and accordingly, the elder or the priest of the village will tell them that maybe this may be a very good site for village, but according to this dream, it is not a very good sign, so we will not settle. This kind of thing. So that's how the dream plays a very vital role in the Naga society. And the Rengma tribe, again, the ritual performs involve sacrificing of animals like chicken, dog, pigs, etc. For instance, among the Rengma Naga tribe, they selected 2 or 3 members, and this selected members sacrifice a big dog or a chicken and perform the rituals. Later, they carried water from the old village and pour it on the new sites to invoke blessings. The Angami tribe and Chakasang tribe usually selected the site where there is availability of sufficient water and feasible for terrace cultivation. Yeah, and among the Suminaga, the village site is selected by making a huge fire and examining the direction of the smoke, and accordingly, that the site which is similar to that of the Rengma, the Naga. And the Lota, to establish a village, various formalities were observed. After a new village is being established, Puti, that's called the chief, is selected. Before entering into the new village, the chief, the priest, sprinkle rice beer followed by prayer. And then the Puti, the chief, kill the chicken to see the omen, right? And after all the formalities were being done or are being done, the chief makes the declaration to enter into the village, and after entering into the village, every household performs an official ceremony. So this is the significance of the village, how village sites are being chosen, and after choosing the village, what are the kind of rituals the Nagas used to follow. Okay, village administration. The Angami, Lota, Rengma, and the Aus villages have a democratic structure. Among the Angamis, the village chief is chosen for his wealth, physical strength, and skills in diplomacy, but the authority exercised by him is very normal. And when an important decision is to be taken, all the villages usually assemble and take a collective decision by the village elders. And the Sema have a system of hereditary village chiefs. The chief is the overlord of the village, and all others are his subjects of dependent. And the Chang polity resembles that of the Semas, but the Chang chiefs are not as powerful as the Semas counterparts, mainly because they do not have the monopoly of land, unlike the Semas. And the Konyak tribes were ruled by Ang, the village chief, and the chiefs are protected by sacred rules. They are given great respect and are considered so sacred that they are not expected to go on a raid. And the importance of village from the beginning to selection of land, it can be observed how important a village is to the Naga people. Village still continue to occupy a central place in Naga society. And despite the various changes such as the introduction of education, change in lifestyle and food habits, the village remain to be an integral part of Naga society. And in order to understand the Naga society, it is essential to understand the Naga village system. And the reflection in the conclusion, well, Nagaland is a vibrant state located in the extreme part of the northeast. And Nagas belong to the Indo-Mongolian family, and they speak variety of Tibeto-Burma languages. And they are well known for their rich, colorful traditions, bravery, honesty, and love for music. And the term Naga also implies the Naga tribes inhabiting in different parts of the northeast India and Myanmar. And the state of Nagaland is inhabited by 16 tribes. And all the villages of the Naga tribes were politically and economically independent of each other. And history tells us that right from time immemorial, the Nagas, irrespective of tribes, were living independently of their own village. And they identify themselves with their village, and holds great pride to belong to a particular village. So we will continue in the next lecture on the different tribes of the Nagas and their festivals and so on and so forth. Thank you very much.